What's up, everybody? Sean Finnegan here, joined by Geoff Robinson, otherwise known as iNcontroL, the captain of EG, pro Starcraft player. Welcome, Geoff.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
No problem. Today we're taking a look at the brand new sort of expansion, third installation of Starcraft 2. This is Legacy of the Void, and it's multiplayer.
Yeah.
So, Geoff, you've had a little bit of time to kind of now take a look at this and get your hands on it, really get in there and get dirty with it. What do you think? How's it playing out?
My general impression is of that of excitement. I'm really excited for it. StarCraft 2 has had a lot of kind of ups and downs. A lot of people would say that Wings of Liberty was awesome at the beginning. It was kind of a monumental, oh my god, they're making a new StarCraft. But after a period of time, it became fairly imbalanced and kind of stagnated. Brood Lords, competitive play just kind of fell off the grid a little bit in terms of excitement. So then Heart of the Swarm came out, and that was really exciting and awesome. But that too, not nearly as much, has kind of dipped down into, okay, I'm used to that, you know, Swarm hosts are all over the place. But now with Legacy of the Void, they're really shaking things up. And for me as a competitive player, I'm super excited about that. They're changing the economy. The game feels a lot faster. A lot of people that watch StarCraft watch it because they can't play it, or they watch it because they can and want to get better, and they just have a general respect for the players. But one of the kind of core elements to the game is, oh my god, that game is hard to play. And I really feel like Legacy of the Void gets in there with that.
Awesome. So right off the bat, if you are a viewer of StarCraft 2 or a player, you will have already noticed that you're starting with a higher amount of worker count. One of the things that Blizzard said with Legacy of the Void is they want to encourage a lot of fast expansion and a lot of more aggressive play, and one of these changes is a higher worker count, but also a lower mineral and Vespene count, I guess, for each patch and each geyser in your base. How is this kind of changing up the game for you?
Oh, man. I mean, starting off with more workers means that you're getting into the meat of the game a lot faster, which I just love that change. I didn't even think of that. Like, a lot of people were... nobody was complaining about that. They're like, why do we start with so few harvesters? No one's really saying that, but that subtle change means the game starts, and about a minute and a half later, meaningful decisions are being made, whereas in the past, we kind of had some downtime, which I'm sure some people would like, but...
Right, there was that scouting each other, kind of trying to, like, little skirmishes with probes or, like, a couple of Zerglings in the middle of the map.
Exactly.
Gone are those days?
For the most part, you know, there's going to be still some of that downtime because at the beginning, you know, once builds get kind of flushed out, there's still going to be a period of time where it's like, all right, they're setting up, you know, standard build A or what have you. But it was a really, really nice change. And as you said, the reduced harvesters, but resources at each base. Now that is an incredible change because that too means that basically you have enough time to execute a strategy, and then after that you better get on your horse because, you know, stuff's starting to get mined out. Like if I do a 2-base timing attack, gone are the days, as you said, where I can just kind of fall back and do something else and you know, change strategies. If that 2-base attack doesn't work, well, your economy is going to suffer a little bit for it, and all of a sudden you have to do something different. And I really like that because, again, it rewards the good, smart general that makes the right choice, but also it's that fast-paced StarCraft feeling that is now fully embodied both in the economy and in the gameplay. Right,
and Legacy of the Void is poised to come out in a totally different esports landscape than it used to be. Like, obviously, Brood War and has had a great legacy, excuse the pun, of competitive gaming, both, you know, abroad and in Korea.
Right.
But the landscape's different, and now there's a lot of games out there like Counter-Strike and League of Legends and Dota that are sort of like all action all the time, most of the time. And I think Blizzard really wanted to kind of encourage the viewership, the spectatorship. Do you think it'll be more fun for viewers to watch and play a game that's this much faster?
Absolutely. I really do. And I think you hit the nail on the head, too, where you're talking about a lot of these games that have been more successful in recent times. They kind of give you something right off the bat. They're a little bit more flashy, and the players kind of, even the viewer base, gets a sense of, oh my gosh, there's some desperation going on here. And I think Legacy of the Void's economic changes and just general gameplay changes are kind of embodying that. I don't necessarily know that it was made with the explicit intent of, oh my, you know, in this day and age we need faster games. I think it's that, and it's also just the games are better when they're faster, and I feel like they're doing that right now.
Totally. So one of these things that's really cool about you know, having a new installation to a game that we know and love is mostly the mechanics by and large are similar. You're still a great StarCraft player, having moving from game, but now we have a lot of new units. Tell me a little bit about the Adept, which is the new Protoss unit. We haven't seen it here yet, but how is this kind of affecting your playstyle as a pro Protoss player?
You know, right now, not a whole lot, just because they're still kind of trying to figure out what they want to do with the Adept. It right now kind of functions almost like a Reaper, like a scouting, fast, light harass unit, which is really cool in theory. But what ends up happening is that the longer the game goes, they kind of lose their footing. It's like, well, yeah, you could sneak some in their base and kill some harvesters, but there's other things that you have access to that are better for that job. And that's a real common problem. The nice thing that the Reaper found for itself was, well, okay, it actually can exist into mid-game TVZ because it really gels nicely with the Hellions and other units like that, so they kind of have a role there.
Yeah, there's some good synergy between those
Synergy
units.
is there, right? With the Adept right now, we're still trying to find it. They're talking about patching it right now, giving it a lot more health. They're talking about giving it a little bit more utility that way. With a little bit more health, maybe it can exist in the mid game. So that'd be really nice. But as it is, by the way, the function, the mechanic of it is super cool. You can play with portals in StarCraft 2, so to speak. And I think it's really awesome. Like the ability to harass in one spot, but then jump to another to safety.
Right.
Is a really cool workaround for that low health that I was talking about.
Totally. And Protoss has largely been kind of identified as the race that is, your units are stronger and more powerful than most units, but they're also more expensive. So it's been, I guess, adding mobility to this sort of playstyle, or this sort of like ideal of the Protoss army is kind of a neat little change, right? Like now Protoss are a little bit more mobile than they've been in the past.
Yeah, there's again, that speed that we're talking about is a very attractive quality to have in this game, and I think that with Protoss, they're starting to get a little bit more of that as well. Like the Adept at the beginning of the game has a little bit of that fear of, oh my god, it's running right past me when it does that. It's not a hallucination, it's like a teleport walk or something like that.
Right.
I should know the name, but actually I don't. it runs past, it moves so fast that you have to make the choice, well, I'm going to follow it because I know it's going to teleport to that spot.
Right.
But then there's this weird, moment in time where you're like, well, actually the guy right here is the one dealing damage, so do I fight him and try to kill him before he teleports, or do I go over there? Just the Adept alone kind of embodies that speed. And then there's another new unit, the Disruptor.
Of course, yeah. Which we'll get to in another Let's Play. But thank you so much for showing us all this stuff. That was Legacy of the Void. This is Geoff Robinson, pro StarCraft player. Check him out over at Team EG. Geoff, thanks very much for kind of decrypting all this stuff for me.
Yeah, of course. And I'm sorry for rambling a little bit. It's there's still the competitor in me. Like that guy was starting to hold off my attack a little bit, so I was like, talk, Geoff, but also win. So a little bit of that happened.
That's great. For everything else StarCraft, you're already in the right place. IGN.